On the 11th month of the 11th day, on the 11th hour, in 1918, World War I came to an end. November 11th was designated as Veterans Day to honor all those who swore an oath to serve their country. In this video today, I want to go over some books that I got as I became a content creator. I started doing more content, I guess, and I had to figure a way to write notes and stuff like that, so I decided to go back to using a pen and a notebook. What I ended up buying was the Field Notes, the popular brand of notes that's out there, and for $13 you get 3 books. It's listed as a 3x5 notepad, but it's actually a little bit smaller. We'll go over that in a bit. Then I also ended up getting 4 of these indestructible ones from a company called Elon. They call theirs the Field Book, and for $13 you basically end up getting 4 of them, so you get one more. It's considered an indestructible book. We'll see how tough it is. And then they also have a field book that for $10 you get 5 of them, and they're not as indestructible, I guess, supposedly, but I'm going to try and test all 3 of these out and see how well they do. Let's go inside and we'll look further into these and go over some other stuff I used while I was in the military and as a police officer. All right, if you like these kind of reviews and stuff, do me a favor, make sure you hit that like and subscribe so you don't miss any videos or anything like that, and always, if you would, share them with friends. Now let's take a look at these different books we have. The Field Notes is a popular one. Get these out of here and look at them a little more. These notebooks, field books, hadn't heard much about them, but I did see them on Amazon, so I figure I'd give these right here a shot and see what they're all about as well. There's a little bit of differences between them, and hopefully we'll go over them here in a second. All right, so all 3 of these are classified as 3.5 by 5.5 inch notebooks. The Field Notes are just a little bit smaller, not quite the 3.5 by 5.5, but they're within that category. All of them have rounded corners on them, which is kind of neat. Inside the Field Notes, it has a place where you can write down a bunch of information and stuff like that if you want, the start date, end date, and other things. So that part of it's kind of neat. On the Field Books, they have where you can write down some basic information as well on the cover areas. The Field Book and the Field Notes have kind of a cardboard type texture to them. The Field Book that's indestructible, it has kind of more of almost like a, not quite plastic, but a coated treated paper difference. The pages, I really can't notice a huge difference on them overall. I don't know the difference between the indestructible and the regular for the Field Books. This one right here that comes as a packet of 5 is the cheapest of them overall, and the Field Notes are the most expensive. What I'm hoping to do is use these. I'm starting up a secondary channel on Rumble. I think it's going to be like CavCop 2 or something, but I'm going to try and do this thing called the Sit Rep. And one of the things I want to do is just randomly throughout the week here and there, just throw out a video. But I want to go over things, and I figure having a notepad or something like that to go over notes with is something handy to have. It's a lot easier than writing something down on a phone or something that you might forget, or on a sticky pad where they go all over the place. Instead, I'll just start carrying a field book. When I was in the military, we always carried books to write stuff in, and then the same thing in law enforcement. We usually had little pads that we'd write stuff on. Majority of the time, we actually used cards, or we had forms that we'd use in law enforcement, so kept it kind of simple, but we'd always have some kind of little notebook to write things in and stuff like that. Also, if you're into gaming and stuff like that, sometimes it's neat just to have a little book that you can scratch down stuff in. If there's a certain location or you want to draw a map or something like that. These books that I got here are just regular line books, like notebook paper, but they do have them with dots, so you can kind of create a map thing if you want, or grids, which you can do almost the same thing with. The dots are real neat if you just want to trace out areas or do something, especially if you're doing certain video games where you want to kind of know the layout or have a reference. It's easy to write stuff down. Same thing for shopping lists and other things. As I get older, I know I don't remember stuff as well as I always do, but when I was younger and in military and law enforcement, notes were a great way to keep track of things. And I'm going to test all three of these books. The field notes, I'm kind of curious of the field book. I'm not sure how durable it is, but going to take some time to fill these up. And once I get one of each book filled up, or at least half of these two and one of these, then I'm going to try and do some more testing with them, leave them out in the rain or something like that, and see how well they hold up and see how durable they are overall. But these right here are the cheapest and most affordable ones. These are the second most, which they call the indestructible. Supposed to be, I guess, a little bit more durable than the regular ones. And then the field notes are the ones that have a good reputation and cost the most. You get 3 in a pack of these. You get 4 in a pack of the green indestructible ones. Then you get 5 of the regular field book. Let me get some other stuff to show you what I've used in the past. All right, so when I first came in the military, we used these memoranda books that you can just kind of flip through, write stuff down and everything. They fit nicely in your pocket of your uniform and everything. Overall, I wasn't a fan of these ones right here necessarily. They do have these ones that fold over here. Anyone that's been in the military for a while has probably used and carried these. A lot of NCOs are fond of using them and everything. When I moved up from being a team leader and squad leader to where I was going to more meetings and stuff like that, I ended up going with a larger book. These are green books. I don't know if they're easy enough to find nowadays, but I bought a bunch of them when I went into Iraq for my first tour. I brought a bunch of these with me, filled them up, wrote different things on the cover, and I think somewhere I have a few of these stashed that have some notes and stuff like that. But these fit in a cargo pocket. They're good for taking notes at meetings and stuff like that, but really not that small. They got like a material type cover to them, but a lot of times just put them in a Ziploc bag and they'll stay weatherproof if need be. But even if they get wet, they're not that bad overall. You just don't want to be out in the pouring rain. As a police officer, we use these kind of like FI cards, these little field cards, and on them, basically, you'd fill everything out that you needed to, or if someone else was there, you could hand them out. But these would be carried in our pockets and stuff like that, and any kind of notes, information we could write on these, and then we could also turn them in to have them documented and put on record if need be. But those are what we carried in our shirts for the most part. Sometimes we carry a small notebook. Somewhere I have a smaller version of these, but the Right in the Rain products, military and law enforcement, a lot of people use them. They're usually smaller ones than these, but this one right here is one that I had, and it's handy if you have to be out in the rain and weather or something like that. In the military and law enforcement, you're always going to be out doing stuff in some of the bad conditions. They also have Right in the Rain cards. These index cards are handy, similar to keeping the FI type cards in your pocket. You can carry a few of these if it's bad weather or something like that, and just write stuff down if you need to lay stuff out to do a training situation or something like that. You can use these on a sand table or something to mark stuff with. We ended up getting big notebook binder type stuff, and they were kind of neat, but I'm not a big fan of the loose leaf foldable pages and stuff like that. My unit in Iraq, when we went there, we actually got this specific book. It's done by the Right in the Rain people for the 56th Infantry Brigade, and in it gives you a bunch of little information and stuff. And then on the back part of it, they have like convoy briefs, some stuff in Arabic written in there. If you need like survival phrases and stuff. But this book right here had a little bit of everything in it: the 9-line medevac stuff, call for fire, range cards. But this right here came pre-set up. It had a lot of good information in it, and it's something neat. Most people aren't going to get something like this, but if you have funds or you have a unit or something that has some money to spend on stuff, you can get them custom made with all the information on it that you need. Going further into it, these are just the plain ones that you can get that are similar to the one I just showed you. It just doesn't have all the fancy stuff inside of it. Oh, this one does. This one has a little bit of the stuff in the back of it. It's probably one of the military ones I got also. And again, the notebook thing that's oversized. One thing we did get a bunch of are these cards that are pulled out. Some are paper and some are hard plastic, but they'll have NBC report type stuff, call for fire, close air support, um, reporting of unexploded ordnance and IEDs. But some of these things are kind of neat and handy to have. Ended up putting them in a little book. I'll see if I can grab one of those real quick. All right, so here's a leader book that I had. It's a little bit more bigger and bulky, but it has everything I need in it. Another one of the papers in there. But usually we carry these permanent markers that you can write with, a mechanical pencil, and then a refill for my ink pen. My ink pen's usually always carried on me, whether it's on my sleeve or my chest. Have an extra protractor in here, but these right here have the different plastic cards. If I need to write on them, I can write on them and then just taking some alcohol and a cloth and rub everything off of here. But it's a lot easier to report stuff on there. And then any kind of meetings, notes, and medevac stuff. There's also copies of it in here. You can store more stuff in the back. Of course, another protractor. We went to the Mitch helmets. We're no longer able to keep our protractors in our helmets like we used to, so I'd make sure I have a few stashed around, because back then I was still using maps and doing stuff. We also had the Blue Force trackers and everything. And to carry on with the right in the range stuff, another thing that is kind of interesting to have, they have a sniper data book. If you're into long range shooting and stuff like that, theoretically you'd want one of these for every rifle that you have. But as you go to the range and do shooting and stuff, you can log all your information on it and know where your shots are hitting, what your adjustments are, your cold weather shot, your hot weather shot, your first shot on a cold bore when you first shoot the rifle. And all those ballistics can have an effect on things depending on the humidity, elevation, different changes that happen, and allow you to track it, where you're hitting, how you're doing. And so that way you can have all that information on hand and basically build off that. Within that, you want to make sure that the ammo you have is the same lot number and stuff like that, so as few variables as possible change in it. But basically, you gather all this data in your book, and it's kind of like a dope book, they call it, but it keeps all of your ballistics and data and stuff in one place, and then you can reference it, or if you hand the rifle off to someone else, someone will know exactly how well it did and everything. But like I said, these are just some of the things that we had when I was in the military and law enforcement to do stuff with. Starting doing the videos and stuff like that, and social media type stuff I'm trying to get into. Figure I'd give these different field books here a shot, so we'll see how these do and pan out and everything. But these are just something that I figure I'd go over and everything, and I plan on using them and hopefully doing a review sometime next year as I fill these up and use them. Hope you enjoyed this video. Cav Cop out.